this is my safe space, and I feel at home here. And so, because of the nature of the internet, like, yeah, maybe it drives people out of your safe space and it keeps your safe space safe, but it doesn't win the fucking war. Right? You've got your safe space. You've got your safe space. And I will work what you guys want. I obviously want to make what I want, and this, well, it's quite important that this remains a safe space for me to vent the shit that is going on. I received basically seemed to be, well, how can this be a safe space if you want to be, if you're not always on the side of the transgender people? In the kind of socio-cultural safe space of Europe and where me and my friends are, all these safe spaces, these filter bubbles, right? They group together, they protect their safe space by attacking and pounding and working. Not use the internet so much as my safe space in that regard. And I think I have found someone, seen someone who was saying that, you know, their computer is their safe space, their way of dealing with the world, right? And that there is a legitimate reason to need a safe space, right? And the thing is that trolls, you all love safe spaces as much as you scream and kick and rage about them. And you like my videos. I want this to be a safe space for them. Whether they think it's a safe space is another matter entirely. But and so where there are communities now, those communities are safe spaces. Those are the fucking, have your safe space. Have your precious little esoteric Jahans safe space where you fantasize about me. And I ended up deciding that it wasn't a safe space for me, and that in fact I actually wanted to destroy it. People having a safe space there, you do not walk into the safe space and start pissing them off. That's fine. That's fine. Who stand against entirely everything that you are because they think their opinion matters. Safe spaces are places where you... I wish that we could all kind of have just safe spaces. I mean, this is kind of... And, you know, I got what I felt I was owed. I finished the work. And, you know, Mum now has a safe space in the house. And to get in to your safe space, everyone will be able to get into your safe space. It's just a matter of time. Heck, people can already... That was my little rant about how Theresa May complaining about safe spaces is fucking ridiculous. Moved. So absolutely, have your safe spaces. Have your safe spaces. But you also... This channel is my safe space. And you may... And ironically, all these people screaming about censorship, saying that, safe spaces, right? Having a safe space is of the damned. And the shattered veterans damaged cantina. Safe space for trans people. Safe space for my... Essentially, people who founded the group saying that they still want it to be the safe space. The potato man. But some nights a safe space means somewhere you can go to and just feel like you can go to. Not use the internet so much as my safe space in that regard. And I think I have found someone that basically she doesn't have a safe space in the house anymore. And, you know, I feel like this room is my safe space. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I entirely fucking respect their right to have a safe space away from me if that is how they feel. These are people. This is not good for the health of our people. So what are safe spaces? Safe spaces is the fundamental idea down before me. Like, no, if I'm going into your safe space, of course, you absolutely have the same power of veto. But as much as you scream and kick and rage about them. And that's fine. Have your safe space. Have your precious little esoteric secure you feel now, and maybe you should fucking respect that safe spaces are a good fucking idea. And I know that you are learning, because this is the opposite. In that, if you give someone the ability to get in to your safe space, everyone will be able to. Angst I had about where's my happy safe space? I've got it. Christopher Odd's vast catalogue against me, deciding, okay, we're gonna go and create a trans safe space somewhere else, right? But the point is, the group split it up into the trans safe space and into the standard Gymquisition 2.0 podcast, saying that safe spaces, right? Having a safe space is precisely about having somewhere you feel safe to express. She does these things where, like, she will buy technology, she will put it in a safe space, and then she will decide that she actually needs to get into your safe space. It's just a matter of time. Heck, people can already get into your safe space, but you want to make it so much fun at once. Yes, you do have to keep the safe spaces. And yes, it is absolutely right that there are parts of the world, this is my home. This is my safe space. Okay, this is where I watch films. This is where I watch TV series. But I can understand that if you want a safe space, then you want kind of an advocacy that is always this is not a safe space that you want to reside in, right? This is something that this is all about. Isn't somewhere where you can feel free to be yourself what safe spaces are all about. The original Gymquisition group went up in flames, and this trans person safe space became the JQ2. It creates little bubbles, little safe spaces, little tiny utopias where you are just with your own kind of people. Is that you've got the trans people who need their safe space, and you've got the people who just want somewhere they can say what they like, where I couldn't belong because they wanted a safe space away from the person that they were a fan of, lest he destroy. I have written an example of how I am transphobic. I do not begrudge you wanting a safe space. I do not begrudge you having shit while you are the fuckers who are sitting there in your shitty little safe spaces, listening to your shitty little Fox News, reading your exhibitionist. That is their right. If they can do it in a safe space, consensually, that is their right. Because I am absolutely for safe spaces. And in fairness, the criticisms that I receive, I have to say, but you know, all of these fucking people who are fucking complaining about safe spaces, I bet they actually fucking like safe. It's counterproductive, right? There will always be assholes in the world. If you want a safe space, you want to have the good word themselves and can't actually go out there and talk to people. That they have to stay in their safe spaces and they have to speak with people. If there are people having a safe space there, you do not walk into the safe space and start pissing them off. Because it turns out, in the world of safe spaces, You're perfectly fine to be a woman obsessed. You know, I like safe spaces. I genuinely, I approve of safe spaces. I think that safe spaces are a wise idea. People on planet fucking Earth, you do not absolutely need to debate those specific people in those safe spaces in order to be able. And the other person will be saying, well, because we want it to have it be a safe space. It's like, this. I mean, I know that, you know, we are the society that is, you know, denigrating safe spaces and fake news at the moment. Even the left just need to vent it, no matter how horrible it might feel. Then absolutely, you know, find a safe space with like-minded people where you can just get that shit out. If this is some sort of alt-right thing against safe spaces, dude, you clearly need a safe space because you clearly the right wing love a good safe space. The right wing abso-fucking-lutely love it. The alt-right love a fucking by the fundamental right of safe spaces. Because you know what a safe space is? It's called a home. It's called coming to criticize me. Who will say, oh, well, you just like your safe space, right? I've succeeded in drawing them out of in their urge to protect their precious safe spaces. But I stand by the fundamental right of safe spaces. They're waging total war. You might be able to keep your safe space going. You might be able to keep the zombies from feeling of having a safe space utterly broken, okay? You know, it's the whole thing, obviously, right? Bigots can have their own safe space, you know? If you are in a bad place where you've had bad shit happen to you, and I'm gonna say it, no safe space. I could not deal with having nowhere I felt safe, that I felt. We can challenge ideas without removing people's safe spaces. Because guess what, guys? There's 7 billion people. Then how can it be a safe space for transgender people? Because you're not always on the side of transgender people. Very antagonistic against the idea of the safe space. How dare you have a safe space? And yet these are the people who are limiting language. You are a special snowflake who needs a safe space from being hurt by the term cuck because you get triggered. Housing accommodation with your friends can be a safe space. But your class, your work area, that isn't a safe space because we get things packed, we buy a laptop so that I have my safe space to go if I need to. And then he manipulates her and suddenly you weren't allowed to be the safe space anymore. Now you were the JQ2 replacement and it's not really going so. I have to wonder whether at some point we have to let these women have a safe space in which to express these urges. Yeah, it's not fucking nice. It's not fucking nice, and that's why they have fucking safe spaces. This is why we have women's refuges. Find a way to separate the safe space from the JQ2, so that both of the demographics can be looked after. Some people did make a few legitimate points that, you know, the university campus is not a safe space. A university campus is not a home. You expect that other people are going to have their own safe spaces. Because there are safe spaces out there in the world that I thought, with the left wing forming their own safe space where I wasn't allowed in, and then how people who need their safe spaces can be truly horrible, can be Mm. I've moved over to my laptop so that I can have my safe space wherever I go, but the truth is, Google, you are my safe space. You are. The entire point is that you want this to feel like a safe place, a safe space for people to make their choices without feeling judged. I have discovered that in the land of the safe space, it is very easy to find porn, and that said porn is soft enough that I can actually look at range. Should probably be more in favour of safe spaces. Because all a safe space means is it's somewhere where you can feel safe. Sorry about that. I've seen how people who need safe spaces can be truly, utterly despicable. Can be nasty pieces of work. Right? Like, my computer is my safe space. My computer is my rock, right? Like when I have my computer, I can. There is this term that the right wing use called safe spaces, and it is always where I can be happy and myself and safe, and you know, it's a safe space is not a controversial thing. Space, right? I've succeeded in drawing them out of their safe space and coming to listen to a left-wing person preach on, you know, the comments or the tweets or whatever. This is it, right here. This is my safe space, and your comments floor, and then get that set up as their own safe space. Like, things are now at a point where things should be okay. You know, like, I gotta tell you guys, right? If we didn't have the internet, if we didn't have safe spaces as a fucking concept, it would still be on the big screen down there. But you know, I have essentially, I can now take my safe space from here into, you know, my safe space wherever I go. But the truth is, Google, you are my safe space. You are where I can just log in and just Google, boom, shoot. That I was banned from the esoteric safe space. I absolutely do not fucking need it, right? Because, you know, when I made the video about safe spaces, some people did make a few. This place you're looking at, this is my safe space, right here. This is it. You know, that's my eye mask that I use when I sleep. And this comes to the idea of like the safe space. The right wing are very the right wing are very. That's all it is. Safe spaces is just the concept of saying, you know what, all this negative shit. To be clear, I have no problem whatsoever with safe spaces, right? Like, absolutely, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, if I'm coming into your safe space, you know, you must bow down before me. That's how the groups operate, right? Like, all these groups, all these safe spaces, these filter bubbles, right? They group together, is, I suppose, the safest of the safe spaces, and that it is secret. In that you don't get in unless we didn't have safe spaces as a fucking concept, it would still be there, because the safe space would be the place where the cunts are. The group that was set up as the safe space for her people, created by a bunch of transphobic motherfuckers, right? Countries having sort of safe spaces, you know, this whole idea of, at a certain point, like, my political leanings are that I like that there is a safe space for people to go and be stupid, you know. Like, so what? Like, safe spaces for fucking everyone. If they want to have a place where they can meme because use called safe spaces. And it is always used derogatorily. Oh, your safe spaces. What are you doing in your safe spaces? You're to say your own bloody goddamn bias. No, I get it. You've got your own little fucking safe space where you all get to be fucking bigots to each other. I mean, I suppose, like, it's the whole thing of, safe spaces. What do these people want? Almost literally, in the sense that you have Tumblr, which is this great safe space where people are like, I don't care. They go out and they seek knowledge of their own free will and volition. So all safe spaces is places where people can go once they are done. This compound is a zombie waiting to happen. By retreating to our safe spaces, we have left all these people outside the... I hang out in these sort of, left-wing safe spaces. And I see all this anger and resentment, and I'm constantly fine, so long as you remember that your safe space is your home where you retire to, but you do have to go outside it occasionally, right? It is not a home. A university campus is kind of a work area. And, yes, your dorm is a safe space. Yes, you're in the house anymore. And, I feel like this room is my safe space. Except it isn't. Because thinking about something that someone said to me, because so I like safe spaces. I genuinely approve of safe spaces. I can't live your whole life at war, that you do need to come home to a safe space and calm the fuck down. And I entirely... Safe space for trans people. Safe space for my friends. Safe space for assholes. Yeah, she's to replace it, is now saying, fuck you, we're a safe space, go fuck yourself. Now, I have no problem with the... But my friends, people on the left, people who are all about championing the cause of safe spaces and mental health and as a culture, but you do so on your own fucking terms. What this rage against safe spaces is this idea that you... Whilst our social justice guardians have been keeping the safe spaces safe, the Nazi movement improvers, the NMI, that yesterday was so that she would have a safe space, and thus we could coexist in the same house and have her feel safe. To continue creating safe spaces, hoping that there will be a place for me there, only to be unable to act. I don't hang out in these, right-wing safe spaces. I hang out in left-wing safe spaces, despite the fact that in many ways, even cunts need a safe space. Even the despicable need somewhere to go where they can be. America is a crazy place where where having a safe space is seen as being utterly horrible. But having a gun, not, metaphorically in terms of, where in their safe space. But with Twitter and that infection spreading throughout their safe space, they need their safe space. They need to crack down on anybody. And ultimately, isn't finding a home what safe spaces are all about? Isn't somewhere where you can feel free to be on a different argument. You want them tired. You want them making mistakes. Step 5. Invade their safe spaces. Root out 4chan, 8chan, wisdom. I can understand it's a BDSM community. It's a safe space. So I would say, like, on the subject of catharsis, like, anybody who hates me and just wants to rip the piss into me, you can go here, this is your safe space, I will never look into it. I don't believe in that. Fuck binaries. Fuck binaries. Safe spaces are a good idea. Safe is a right. This idea of a safe space, a safe place, somewhere where you feel safe, it is a right. Equally, right, you do need a safe space, you know. It's this sort of you must your work area, that isn't a safe space because it's got people there. And that doesn't mean that people can be dicks, but it's not. But when you have a group that is not some special safe space, but is a general place where people... Originally, it was supposed to be the transgender person's safe space for fans of the JQ2 and the Podquisition. Now, I have a lot of experience with safe spaces and with the binaries. Safe spaces are a good idea. Transgender people, you know, people who are suffering any form, you get the craving for complexity, you get the needing a safe space to run to, you get the leaning on the crutch of the pretty girls in the head, for to go and be stupid, you know. I don't like that there is a safe space in the dark web where, you know, paedophiles... I acknowledge that we need safe spaces, that you can't spend your whole life out in the field trying to convert. Some people might never want to go out of their safe spaces, and you know what? That's okay. There are 7 billion people on planet Earth.